There we go. They changed the recording button. So now it says record to this computer instead of just
It,
record.
it, it looks a bit weird. It's funny how you have to accept to for it to record, or else you'll get kicked out of the meeting.
Right, right. Yeah. That's just privacy concerns that Zoom needs to make sure that you guys as participants understand, right? Okay. Anyways, excuse me. I just had a meal, so I'm still feeling the meal settling down in my stomach. And speaking of the stomach, today we will be talking about one of the major organs of the body, the stomach. This is a continuation of our series on organs in the human body. We've done the heart, we've done the lungs, we've done the liver, and now we're going to do the stomach. Everyone kind of has a general idea where the stomach is, right? If you feel around here, you got your stomach region, and everyone knows what a full stomach feels like, or at least I hope you guys do. So everyone knows in general what happens with the stomach, right? Everyone kind of has a sense of what the stomach might do and what the stomach is or serves to do in the human body. Okay, but let's talk about the specifics. Also, Ethan, sorry about the link change that I had earlier. That's my bad. There's something wrong with the other link. It refused to open on my side, and I couldn't get into it to host that meeting, so I had to restart and send a new one. So my apologies about that. Okay, let's talk about the function of the stomach as we always do. Okay, so sorry. Right. The function of the stomach is to store food and compress the food into a certain type of liquid that the body can use and digest. So initially, we all know that when we eat food, we put the food in our mouths, with a fork, with a spoon. Okay, Ethan, don't do that again. Okay. What was that? Okay. We all know that the path that food takes is through your mouth. So this is where the food starts, right? Well, it starts on the plate, but it goes to your mouth and the food travels down your esophagus. Your esophagus is a muscular tube that basically like feeds the food into the stomach. The esophagus is made out of smooth muscle and it contracts to push food down your throat and into your stomach, really.
That sounds violent.
It might sound a little bit a little strong, but what actually happens is it's actually like very gentle. They're called peristaltic waves. So what happens is your esophagus compresses ever so slowly, ever so naturally, and that helps push the food down into your body. Gravity also helps. If you didn't guess, gravity helps pull the food down your esophagus and into your stomach. Okay, any questions, anybody, on just the basic, like how food goes down into the stomach? Okay, great. If there are no questions, I'm going to move on to kind of what the stomach itself actually does. So the stomach itself is made up of smooth muscle, okay? If you guys remember, there is striated muscle, like your biceps are striated muscle, and then there's smooth muscle like in your stomach or in your esophagus. Your esophagus is also smooth muscle, like I mentioned. And so what the muscle of the stomach does is it contracts, it squeezes. So if you guys have ever hold on, let me admit Lena there. If you guys have ever kind of felt your stomach move in your body or felt it kind of twist or kind of sometimes stomach grumbling is a side effect of the stomach twisting, of it compressing. And so this twisting kind of stirring motion of the stomach, it serves to mix up the food that's in there, and it breaks up the food that is in the stomach, right? We call that mechanical digestion because it's done mechanically. Yeah, I just saw your message, Lena. I'm sorry about that. The old link, for some reason I couldn't get into it earlier today, and so I had to send out a new one. My apologies. That is my fault. So sorry to make all of you guys have to go through the process of finding the new link that I sent. Okay. But right, the stomach does this sort of mechanical digestion where it, mixes and it compresses the food that's in there. But we all know that mechanical digestion is not enough, right? There needs to be something else in the stomach that helps the stomach digest the food, right? And that's why we have stomach acid. Stomach acid helps in chemical digestion, right? So there's mechanical digestion where the stomach physically moves and it mixes the food around. And then there is chemical digestion, where the acid breaks up the food and it turns it into something we call chyme, right? CHYME. So after food passes into your stomach and it's been chemically and mechanically digested, so after it's been mixed around a bunch in the acid, it is kind of kneaded by the stomach, or it's kind of compressed into this liquid that we call chyme, CHYME. Have any of you guys heard of this? Chyme?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, great. And so this is the kind of product of the stomach. Chyme is very high in nutrients, assuming that you've had a healthy meal, right? If you haven't had a healthy meal, well then the chyme that exits from your stomach isn't going to be very nutritious.
Needs? What does the notes mean by needs food into chyme?
Yes. Okay. So you're asking about what the verb needs is, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Have you ever heard someone say like knead dough?
No. Yes.
Okay, I heard a yes, and I think I heard a no. Say that again, Daniel.
No.
Okay, yes. So the kneading motion is, have you ever taken Play-Doh and you just like kind of squish it and play around with it, Daniel?
No, I've never touched Play-Doh.
Wow, okay, you've never played with Play-Doh?
I have, like when I was little, but I don't remember.
Okay, but that motion where you take the Play-Doh and you like smush it and you like kind of like rotate it around in your hands and you smush it some more, that's kneading, Daniel.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it's basically just like squishing and mixing. That's what kneading is.
It squishes like here.
Oh, okay. Basically the entire stomach kind of serves to compress. The entire stomach is made of smooth muscle, and the muscle here is actually pretty strong because these muscles are working 24/7 basically.
But where's the small intestine?
Ah, okay, right. So let me grab my little annotation tool. Draw. Okay, so the small intestine will, that is not my annotation tool. Here we go. The small intestine is over here. This is where the small intestine is. You have the duodenum, the jejunum, the ileum of the small intestine. So the small intestine, it comes off after.
What did you just say? The jejunum? What?
Okay, so the small intestine, we will learn about this in a future date because this is all small intestine material, but the small intestine is made up of three main sections. We call it the duodenum, the jejunum, and the ileum in that order. So so each section is responsible for different kinds of things. Yes.
What's a receptacle?
Yes. I see you see this word here. A receptacle basically means it's like a storage bin. Does that make sense? Yes, it's kind of like a storage bin. It stores the food temporarily while the food is being mixed and turned into chyme. Remember, the food kind of comes in through here, it gets kneaded up mechanically and chemically digested in the stomach here, and then it goes off into the small intestine. And we will talk about the small intestine and digestion at a later date. Is that okay, Daniel?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Any more questions on the function of the stomach? Just to recap, it serves to hold food temporarily. It crushes it, it mixes it, it turns it into chyme, and then it sends it off to the small intestine, where the food will be further digested and nutrients will be absorbed. Any questions, anybody? Great. One common misconception about the stomach is that nutrients are absorbed in the stomach, which is not true. Nutrients are absorbed by the body in the small intestine, not actually the stomach. And so, yeah, just know that, I guess. You guys are very smart for your age, so I wouldn't attribute that to any of you, but just be aware that nutrients are not absorbed.
It's because we're Chinese. We're Asian.
What does that mean?
That means we're smart.
Oh,
Literally most Asians in my class are smart.
Ethan, please stop doing that.
What?
Ethan keeps on unmuting and yelling. And yes, that is true to a certain point. A lot of children from minority groups tend to really try to make it good early on, or make it good by educating themselves.
People call me nerd sometimes.
There's nothing wrong with being a nerd.
Yeah, they said you get too nerdy.
It's about finding.
When you're a nerd, it means they're smart. They're just jealous. They're basically idiots who don't know anything.
Yeah,
don't listen to them.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
And that's what my mom told me.
Right. Lena and your mom, they're both right. There's nothing wrong with being a nerd. Find a good work-life balance, you know? You should be proud to know a lot of stuff. You work hard to learn stuff, so you should be proud of that. Okay. Let's talk about the structure of the stomach. Has anyone seen a diagram like this before? Where my mouse is moving? Okay. Great. These diagrams are like very common in biology, especially high school biology. Lena, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 11.
You're 11. Okay. You know a lot from 11-year-old. Okay.
I'm 9.
Yes. My brother is also 9. So I just wanted.
You have a brother?
Yes, I do have a brother. Is anyone in here 8 years old?
I was 8-year-old last year.
Okay. I think Billy might be 8 if I'm.
Billy?
I'm 10.
Oh, okay. Billy is 10. I am.
It's
Okay,
kind
I'm
of an
wrong.
offense.
Okay. So yeah, I think the age range in here is like 9 to 11. So cool. Okay. I just wanted to make an assessment quickly. Okay. Let's talk about structure. So the stomach is broken up into kind of these 4 sections, right? We do this a lot with our organs. We think about the heart. We break up the heart into 4 chambers. We have the atrium, the ventricle, the right and left atrium, right and left ventricle. If we think about the lungs, we have the right lobe, the left lobe, and then we break it up even more into alveoli, into bronchi. Yeah.
It's fundus, body, antrum, and then pylorus.
Yes. So I will talk about what those things are. Again, just a quick refresher. The stomach is made out of smooth muscle. And we can kind of tell it's made out of smooth muscle, right? If you look at it, it seems like it is made out of muscle that is not striated or is not cardiac muscle per se. And we see that a lot with organs that kind of move
Okay.
around a lot, right? The intestines are all made out of smooth muscle. The stomach is all made out of smooth muscle. So it's very common, or it's
I
not
have
very
a-
common, but it makes sense. Yes, I
I
think
have a question.
yes, Daniel.
Why and on the stomach? Why is there like the meat in a square?
Meat in a square. Are you talking about
It's
this?
muscle.
Yeah, it's uh like why
Okay.
is it pink?
Yes. This is simply just a cutaway. It's a artistic representation. Like in the stomach, in your actual stomach, this would all be the same color.
No, but why is it in that shape? Why is
Why
it
is it
natural? Why is it naturally in that shape?
in in what shape? In this kind of like squarish shape?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this is just a cutaway, Daniel. This is just like an artist drew this. It's like there's not actually a pink patch of exposed muscle on your stomach. This is not what your stomach will actually look like. This is just a diagram that shows you the different muscle layers on your stomach.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. So on your stomach there would not be this like pink squarish patch. That doesn't happen. Okay.
Good
But
to know.
yes. Yes, Lena, what's up?
What is that?
Mm.
This thingy.
The serosa.
Yeah.
So typically we see a lot of organs wrapped in this kind of
Can you zoom in?
yes, for sure. Okay, so typically we see organs that are wrapped in this kind of outer layer, which is pretty common. If I have one example in my head, it's called the myocardium of the heart. It basically serves to keep like moisture, blood, and liquid around the organ so that the organ, like the cells of the organ are well nutriated and have the nutrients to continue going. And I would assume that that's what the serosa is. It contains, or it relates to, blood and liquid part of the body. So you can see that there are veins running through here. So I would assume the serosa is just a layer of, like internal human body, that helps transport nutrients and blood to the cells on the outside of the stomach. Think of it just as another transportation system for blood, and other nutrients and oxygen.
Oh, it's like a skin and the transportation thing.
Yeah, kind of. It's kind of like a highway for blood vessels to run through. You can see the blood vessels in this clear image right here. And so yes, it kind of serves as I wouldn't be scared to say that this is some kind of membrane surrounding the stomach, and that blood vessels run through this membrane to get to the stomach. Is that helpful, Lena?
So in a nutshell, it's a covering. It's like layer. It's like an onion. No, you know
Yes.
the first layer of an onion?
I do
Kind of
know
like
the
that.
first layer of onion.
Onion.
Yes.
I understand the onion.
Yes.
That's a weird analogy.
I wonder if there's a yeah, okay, great. So you see, I have no idea what peroneum means, but you can see here that let me circle it here. The serosa, it's a connective tissue layer of some sort, and you can see the kind of red blood cells and whatever these are supposed to be running through this kind of layer right here, and right below that layer, or I should say, yeah, below that layer, you have muscle cells, and muscle cells that need these red blood cells. They need the oxygen on these red blood cells. So yeah.
Oh, so those red and blue dots are like cells.
Yes. Yes, these are cells running through the blood vessels in the in the serosa. And these muscles here, these longitudinal muscle layer muscles, will no doubt benefit from the oxygen that those red blood cells are bringing. Okay, any questions, anybody?
Wait,
Oh,
where
wait.
is this
Sorry.
where's that located?
Where is this located?
Yeah.
This is the wall of the stomach. This is a cutout. So you see, they took this time.
What's a gastric? What's a gastric pit?
Gastric pit?
Yeah, that.
These are,
gastric.
yes, okay. So gastric pits are basically where the stomach acid is secreted out of. Okay, I will talk about that in a second. Don't you worry, Daniel. Okay, Lena, did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
Yes, of course. Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, the stomach passes through kind of these four like major sections. You have the fundus, which is the top of the stomach. This is where the food enters, and then it moves into the body of the stomach, where it is kind of, like where like the acid mixes with it and it does the mechanical digestion thing, which is, the body is also the biggest part of the stomach, which makes sense. It's the body. And then you have the antrum. Antrum, if you guys study Latin, antrum will stand out as kind of like following up. And I don't actually know what it means in Latin because I don't study Latin, but the word antrum should signify like the end of. And true to its name, it is the end of kind of the actual stomach. And then the final step is it goes into the pylorus, which feeds all that chyme and all that digestive juice into the small intestine, where it is then absorbed by the body. Okay, let's talk about sphincters. Does anyone know what a sphincter is?
Sphincter.
Yes.
So,
Lena, do you know what a sphincter is?
What?
Okay. So
I know what it is. I don't know how to explain it.
it's
Okay.
a muscle.
Yes, that is true. I have
I think
sphincter
it's like some sort of
muscles.
lining muscle that's in the stomach.
So what you're thinking about lining muscles, those are called rugae. So let me talk about sphincters. How do I best describe this? Okay, so think about it like this, right? The stomach, it needs some kind of doorway, right? You can't always just have, here we go. Ooh. You can't just have food always flowing into the small intestine, right? It needs to sit in the stomach for a bit and, be broken down, right? It needs to sit in the body and it needs to be mechanically and chemically digested, right? If food came in here and then it just went root, and then it was done, that wouldn't be great, right? So we need.
That's kind of what I thought since a few seconds ago.
Okay. Was that a question, Daniel?
No.
Okay.
I've always thought it just goes just like it just goes.
Yeah, so you guys might think that the food actually just passes through the stomach within a matter of minutes, but that's not actually true. After you eat, the food sits in your stomach for a bit. It takes time for it to mechanically digest and chemically digest, right? And so there has to be some closing at the end of the stomach, or else the food would just trickle through and go into your small intestine without being digested properly, right? So to get the kind of food to sit in here, we need to create some kind of block. We need to make a door. And so we can close this door on all of the food so that the food can actually sit in the stomach and turn into chyme. If we don't have this doorway, if we can't close the door on the stomach, well, then all the food is just going to fall into the stomach and then kind of just like fall back out again, right? It's not going to turn into chyme. And if it doesn't turn into chyme, then the small intestine can't really use it. And then we're not absorbing the nutrients from our food, which is really, really bad. And so humans evolved to have this kind of doorway that they could close on the stomach, and it would hold all of the food in the stomach until it's turned into chyme. And that's how we have sphincters, right? Sphincters are basically muscles that contract to close the tubes. So the sphincter right here at the end of the stomach is called the pyloric sphincter. It closes the entrance between the small intestine and the stomach. So if I were to have some food and I consumed it, it would sit in my stomach for a couple of hours because this would be closed off. So even though the food might try to trickle through, it would just kind of bounce back. It would sit in the stomach and then it would be turned into chyme, thanks to the pyloric sphincter. Sorry. But once the pyloric sphincter opens, the food can come through. Sorry, it should start here. My bad. The chyme that has been made in the stomach, it can come through and it can come into the small intestine where all the nutrients will then be absorbed. Does everyone see the importance of having sphincters now?
Yes.
Great. I know that was a
But
little bit
do
wordy.
they move automatically?
So if there becomes too much stuff in the stomach, the sphincter will open up. And if the chyme has been sitting in the stomach for a little bit now, the sphincter will also open up. There are a lot of signaling pathways that the body uses to say, hey, there's a lot of food in my stomach, but I haven't digested it. So close the sphincter, and the body will close it up, and the stomach will mechanically and chemically digest it. But if once the stomach is ready, the stomach will be like, hey, this chyme, it's been sitting in me for a little bit of time now. Can we get it out so I can digest more food for, my person? And the body will be like, okay, cool. Open the pyloric sphincter and the chyme will flow into the small intestine, and then you will be able to absorb all those nutrients. Is that good, Daniel?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. There are also sphincters like the cardiac sphincter, which is the cardiac sphincter is up here. It basically makes sure like you don't get a ton of food in your stomach at once. So you don't, like burst your stomach or something. I'm not really sure, but it helps to control how much food goes into your stomach. So that's what the cardiac sphincter does. Down here we call it the pyloric sphincter. Oh, it's even helpfully labeled. Perfect. Let me circle this for you guys. There you go. Pyloric sphincter. Okay. Couple more things I want to point out. Lena, earlier you mentioned rugae. These are basically folds in the stomach. So on the inside, the stomach is not smooth. Shocker, right? It's not like skin where it's smooth. It's actually very bumpy, right? And because it's so bumpy, it increases the surface area. There's more surface inside of the stomach for the food to be mashed around in, for more acid to be secreted, that kind of stuff. And so that's what the rugae do. They increase the surface area so you can have more acid, you can have more food, you can have whatever. The rugae, they can also expand. So when you guys eat a lot, the rugae, they will expand and the stomach will actually become smooth. But excuse me here, but if you guys are what's up, Daniel?
Where's the root thing?
Yep. You see all these kind of like squiggly lines on the inside of the stomach, Daniel?
The blood thing.
Yeah, like here, like you see these things?
Oh, those. Yeah, I see those in the markets where they're like,
Yeah.
like
If you guys have ever had like pork stomach, you guys will be able to see these folds called rugae, which is pretty cool, really. The small intestine also has folds, by the way. If you didn't know, we will talk about that next week. Okay. Any questions about Rugae, anyone?
Yeah, where's it? Where is it? Oh, is it? What was it? Oh, it's right there.
Are you
Oh,
all
yeah,
right,
I
Daniel?
just my memory today is weird.
Okay,
like-
no worries.
Like during dinner, during lunch, we're talking about something, and then like I completely forget, and then like when I'm thinking something during bed, I completely forget about it.
Okay. No worries, no worries. Okay.
Or I
Um,
think I forget about it because I forgot that I forgot about it.
oh my goodness. That seems really complicated for you to keep track of in your head. Okay.
Yeah.
As
That's
long as
why
there are
I
no
f-
questions, don't worry about it, Daniel. No worries. As long as there are no questions, I'm gonna move on. Does anyone know the pH of stomach acid? Like off the top of their head, do they know the pH of stomach acid? Because
What's
I don't.
pH? What's pH?
Okay. pH is a
Oh,
measure
I'm
of
not
how
sure.
acidic something is.
2.5?
Is
I
the
think
what? pH is a what?
okay, so pH is a measure of how acidic something is. If you take like lemon juice, it's going to be acidic. And Lena has it right. Stomach acid, usually we put it around between 1.5 to 3.5. So 2.5 is a really good guess. If you guys didn't know, 2.5 or just a pH of 1.5 that can acidify certain metals. That is how strong stomach acid is. It kills bacteria. If you drink stomach acid, it is like it is dangerous,
Why
right?
would you want to drink what?
I was saying that just as a kind of like a context thing. So stomach acid can be kind of dangerous because it's very acidic, right? So how can stomach acid sit in our stomach and not hurt our stomach, right? So that's the question that we have to ask. So the stomach is actually protected by something we call a mucous membrane, right? Mucus as in like if you guys ever have like snot in your nose, that's mucus. And the same kind of mucus protects your stomach from acid. So next time you think that your mucus is disgusting, which it is a little bit, just remember that it's also protecting your stomach from being acidified by the acid. So just so you know, there's a membrane covering inside of the stomach that protects against the stomach acid. If you damage that mucous membrane, you can get ulcers, you can get all sorts of stomach issues. So it's very dangerous, very dangerous. Don't do that. Okay. All right, great. Any questions, anybody? Okay, cool. Solid. As I was mentioning, the gastric glands, Daniel, earlier we talked about the gastric pit. Basically, the gastric pit leads to the gastric glands, and these glands, they produce gastric acid, or what we call stomach acid, and they secrete them out of the gastric pits and into the stomach. And that's about it. I wrote gastric juice here, but gastric juice is basically digestive enzymes and acid. Any questions, anybody? Okay, great. If there are no questions, yes, Daniel.
What's HCI?
Okay, so HCl is a type of acid. We call it hydrochloric acid. You will learn how to name these kinds of acids in the future. But I was so this bullet point was just mentioning that gastric juice is made out of digestive enzymes and hydrochloric acid. It is a type of strong, very strong acid, hydrochloric. Is that okay, Daniel?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. As you know, I like to wrap up all of these organ lessons with some of the modern health concerns that we may have with this specific organ, right? Talk about a little bit, talk about some of this within the context of public health and prevention and preventative medicine, right? So the first thing I want to talk about is gastritis. Actually, before I talk about that, you can have a lot of kind of like stomach problems. You can have indigestion issues, like overdigestion issues. You can have like sometimes your stomach hurts because you inhale too much cold air. The stomach it's pretty finicky. But we're going to talk about two semi-serious or one semi-serious and one very serious issue that we deal with the stomach. The first one being gastritis. There are kind of two kinds of gastritis, and gastritis is a problem with the mucous membrane that I mentioned earlier, right? So in some way, the mucus, it becomes really thin. You might get a hole in it, or it might just be so thin that it doesn't protect against the stomach acid anymore. And this can be due to a bunch of issues. You can be drinking too much alcohol. You can be infected with a certain type of bacteria that affects your mucus membrane in the stomach. And also something like aspirin, which is a certain type of like over-the-counter drug. And so, oops, wrong slide. And so there are a couple reasons as to why you would develop a issue such as gastritis. There is acute gastritis, acute meaning it's like sudden, it hurts a lot, it is very inflammatory.
I just kind of forgot what gastritis is.
Okay, don't worry. Gastritis is basically where the mucous membrane of the stomach becomes really thin or
Oh yeah,
doesn't
and then it gets a hole. Yeah.
Yes. And then the stomach acid starts like damaging the stomach, and that's really not good. That's not what we want. Okay. But as I was mentioning, there are kind of two major types of gastritis. Number one being acute. Acute being it is sudden, it like blows up in your face, it hurts. And yes, that is what acute is. Chronic gastritis is persistent. It lasts a very long time, but it doesn't hurt as much as something like acute, as acute gastritis. So that is the difference between acute and chronic. Any questions about gastritis?
What's stomach lining?
The stomach lining is the stomach, like mucous membrane. So same thing. When they say lining, they mean the mucous membrane of the stomach. Is that good, Daniel?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
Gastric cancer. Wait, can I point out that it's kind of weird how they called like a stomach disease called gastritis. That's like a random name probably. They probably just put itis after it.
It's kind of. But it's not exactly random, right? Itis means like some issue. Think about if you have bronchitis, it means you have an issue with the bronchioles in your lungs, right? Bronchitis. I can't seem to think of another one off the top of my head, but
Arthritis.
Arthritis, yes, perfect. Thank you. Arthritis meaning you have an issue with the joints in your body where they become inflamed. Gastritis meaning you have an issue, you have an itis with this kind of gas, which refers to gastrointestinal, which is your stomach region. And so it makes sense that we would kind of call it gastritis, Is that okay, Daniel?
Yeah.
Great.
That makes sense though.
Yes.
Gastritis.
And thank you, Lena, for that example of arthritis. I couldn't really come up with something off the top of my head, but thank you there. Appreciate that.
You know in like some TV show where they just Odd Squad, they just say some random like doctoritis or like unicornitis or something.
Ah, I see. I see.
Or like bookitis,
Mm,
treeitis. Or
I don't watch that, but it seems like they're just using itis and sticking it on to anything that might have an issue. But people in this medical scene and in the research scene, they're very careful about how they name stuff. So this is very properly named, itis of the gastrointestinal. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Let's talk about gastric cancer. This should be quick anyways. Basically, as with any other type of cancer, cells mutate and they keep on mutating and they keep on growing and they keep on dividing, and you get a benign or malignant tumor and it keeps on going in your body like any type of cancer. Terrible disease. Cancer is perhaps one of the greatest banes on the human condition. But there can be great ways to prevent the development of any sort of cancer, right? If you are worried about liver cancer, then don't drink alcohol. If you are worried about heart issues, exercise more, eat
who
healthier.
wants to drink alcohol? That's like drinking hand sanitizer. Like who wants to do that?
Alcohol can have addictive properties, simply because it is a drug. It puts the mind into a state of it
I-
puts the brain
I
into a level.
call it. I think it's just drinking hand sanitizer. That's what I think about it. Drinking
Okay.
hand sanitizer.
I will tell you, it is a little different. If it was just like drinking hand sanitizer, then like adults wouldn't drink it, but adults do drink alcohol. And alcohol in small amounts is, it's not the end of the world. Your body does a good job of removing it. We talked about the liver. The liver detoxifies the bloodstream. It removes alcohol and it removes other toxins from the bloodstream. So your body is capable of handling small amounts of alcohol. It's an issue.
But you get addicted. That's the thing. You get
Yes.
addicted. That's why I don't want to drink hand sanitizer.
Okay, yes, but alcohol does have addictive properties, but it is also just alcoholism is very much a thing, and so the question then becomes like, how much is too much, right? And so you definitely don't want to get addicted, but alcohol can damage the stomach lining. It can result in gastric cancer. Another big thing that is not as common anymore, but it's still dangerous: no smoking. Okay, don't smoke. Smoking is also bad for you. Bad for your lungs, like bad for every single organ in your body, especially the lungs and the stomach, right? If your lungs and your stomach go out, you're dead.
You're dead.
Yes, if you don't have lungs, you don't have a stomach, well then you're 100% a goner. Okay. Again, we see this kind of issue with too much salt or smoked foods, right? Too much salt being high in sodium, like really high in
oily?
sodium.
Oily?
Oily is not good for your heart. Oil doesn't really have that much of an effect on the stomach, but like oil and fat and lots of butter, that can be very dangerous for the heart.
Butter.
Yes.
No one. Oh, okay.
All good, no worries. Butter can be very dangerous. But diets with too much salt or smoked foods. This kind of smoked foods kind of goes back to the smoking thing, where it becomes a little bit like the same vein, where smoked foods are not that healthy for you. And also lack of fruits and vegetables, guys. Eat your fruits and vegetables. If you guys are lacking fruits and vegetables, it's very dangerous for your body. All right. I should say no fruits and vegetables. No fruits and vegetables can cause issues in the body, right? Eat your fruits, eat your vegetables, be healthy, kids. Okay. Whew. Any questions, anybody, before I stop my screen share? Okay, great. If there are no questions, I'm going to stop my screen share. I'm going to remind everyone to eat their fruits and vegetables again. Eat your fruits and vegetables, guys. It's healthy for you. It's better than eating fried chicken or I don't know what you guys eat nowadays.
McDonald's.
Yes, it's better than eating McDonald's, okay? Eat your fruits, eat your broccoli, eat your cabbage, eat your spinach, eat your asparagus, okay?
Cabbage.
Okay,
Cabbage.
cabbage, yes, cabbage is very
Yes.
good. Okay,
Also, did you know fruits and vegetables are technically the same thing? Technically. Okay, technically.
I'm pretty sure fruits and vegetables are technically not the same thing.
I thought they were just something to make like shopping easier.
I have no idea. This is beyond my scope. I'm a life sciences guy. I don't know the difference between fruits and vegetables. I just eat them
Okay.
because I know they're healthy for me. Okay.
Okay.
If there are no questions,
Gam
I'm going
kit, gam
to.
kit, gam kit, gam
Okay.
kit.
Okay, easy, Daniel. Easy, Daniel. I'm going to mute Daniel because he's going a little bonkers. I'm going to stop the recording.
I talk